Well, as you can see, I am home from Romania, and I have been a little bit under the weather, but I have been rejoicing for all the wonderful things I got to see in Romania. And as we're just a couple of days before Thanksgiving, you can't help but feel overwhelmed with a sense of appreciation for what God is doing in the world through people just like you and me, and people in Romania and Cuba and China and other places in the world. People that don't see themselves special in any way, but I get to see them being used of God in very powerful and special ways. And it just makes you feel humbled that you get a chance to meet people all over the world. Indeed, this year I have spent over a week in Mexico, a week in Cuba, a week in Zambia, a week in China, and over almost 2 weeks now in Romania. In addition, I spent a week out in Hawaii training a whole group of future missionaries. So it's been a tremendous year of travel for me. And in every place I go, I get to see what God is doing well among us. There's lots of things to be critical about in the church today. There are lots of faults that we're all generally aware of. And yet, in my work, I get to see us at our best. And that really makes me feel very privileged in the work that we do. I'm reminded of Psalm 16, in which we read that the Lord is my chosen portion and my cup. The lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. Indeed, I have a beautiful inheritance. I bless the Lord who gives me counsel. This is the psalmist David just rejoicing in how things are working out, good and evil, ups and downs, hardships and breakthroughs, but overall, what God is weaving is a great story. And I experienced that, and I hope that you are experiencing that as well. And in this psalm, he also says, besides the Lord himself being his joy, his portion, and his cup, he says this remarkable statement, as for the saints in the land, they are the excellent ones in whom is all my delight. So David also just took time to give thanks to God for knowing the people in his life that were responding to the call of God and walking faithfully with God in his time. And I get a chance to do that with you and with believers all over the world. So let me give you a kind of a travel log of my most recent trip to Romania. We started out at a very large conference called the Rolf Conference. As this picture shows, it's the Romanian Leadership Forum, ROLF. And I was invited to give a keynote address there, which I did, to about 415 or so leaders from all over Romania. These are pastors, these are journalists, these are counselors, bloggers, just artists of various kinds, doctors, quite a group of leaders. And I got a chance to speak to them about how the aroma of Christ goes out into the world as the fragrance of life. And but was able to just, again, summon the Romanian leaders to continue to do that very thing, to be a gospel-driven person who is bringing life-saving works into their neighborhoods, whatever that looks like. And in our case, it's pregnancy crisis intervention. And to that end, we spent almost 2 weeks in Romania, going to about 6 different cities. So after Cluj, we went up to Oradea, and there we had a chance to preach in 2 very, very large and significant churches, one of about 600 or 700 people, and the other with about 1,000 to 1,200 people that were gathered there that night. And I got to speak to both of them about the biblical call to rescue the innocent based on Proverbs chapter 24. And again, to show them how believers all over the world are starting to rescue the innocent, one mother and baby at a time, so that we can get and embrace the work. While I was in Oradea, I had a very special opportunity to go and visit some of the people that were praying outside the abortion clinic with another organization called 40 Days for Life. You may not be aware of that organization, but it's a commendable pro-life organization, and they've organized prayer once or twice a year outside of abortion clinics all over the world. And so I went there to encourage them and to speak to the gathering, about 100 and some people, as they concluded their 40 days of prayer and fasting and outside these abortion clinics. So that was in Oradea. We then went to several other cities where we had a chance to teach our 4 questions to various groups of pastors and leaders from those communities. We had a couple of good meals. Probably the most surprising meal that we had was when my traveling companion and fellow PassionLife partner, Tony Heredia, ordered a simple hamburger. And you can see from his face the size and the shock that we had when we saw the size of this hamburger that came in. It was one of the joyful, surprising moments of the trip, and made us all laugh quite a bit. We went on to conclude our work not too far from the city of Bucharest, where we were preaching and giving out books and fetal models. And one of the exciting things that happened on this trip is that my book, Answering the Call, was translated into Romanian, so that and published there. So we were able to hand out quite a few of these books in Romanian, and especially for pastors and medical doctors and people who want to take time and read through an issue. This was a great addition to our trip and a great blessing for us to have this now in Romanian. So anyway, we made our way home, and before we departed, I had a chance to sit down with the missionary that organized this whole trip for us. His name is Brad Hayes. He's been in Romania many, many years now. And I just thought I would show you the little video that I made with Brad as he summarized the trip. So we've just finished all of our work here in Romania, and I want to take these last few moments to introduce you to Brad Hayes, who is an American missionary. How many years have you been here?
23.
23. And where's home for you?
Well, 23 years ago, we moved here from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and we live in Călăraș, Romania.
Călăraș. So you might want to look that up on Google, see exactly where he lives. But Brad basically organized our training through 6 different cities. Mm-hmm. And the travel, and you fed us well.
I'm glad.
And nobody got sick.
Nobody got sick.
And we got to teach the 4 questions and answer people's questions and preach and teach. So give me 1 or 2 of the takeaways that you saw over the last 12 days.
Well, 2 things right off the top of my head are, number 1, for me personally, being the helper and chauffeur and all that, I was John's understudy and went to every session, and I learned a lot. And that what I learned will help me a lot personally and help me to impart it to others. But then I think the thing I'm excited about that I saw happen in the last week and a half are a good core group of pastors and church members in different churches that we visited that are already very passionate about pro-life ministry, but then specifically to start with the 4 questions that John's been teaching, which are a very, very good way to start pro-life ministry.
Yeah. Well, we have people that have prayed us through this trip, and I'm going to keep encouraging them to pray about Romania. It seems like Romania, it's had a rough history.
Yeah.
And yet their economy is growing. Mm-hmm. There's just a lot of signs that things are kind of breaking through. And I know that you want that to break through in the church and things to spread. There's also pregnancy centers here in Romania that have been around for a long time. and they want to be able to grow and they want to reproduce in other cities like the one that we're in right now. And so it's an exciting time, and yet it just seems like we're always going to have to work for it. You know,
It's worth it. It's worth working for.
Yeah, and I just want to thank you for all the work you put into this.
My big pleasure.
Yep, and we got some generous people that support us. And if people wanted to help you here in Romania, where would they go to make a contribution?
Thank you for saying that. If somebody wanted to help our organization here, you can give at our website at www.handsofromania.org. You can give through PayPal or just go to the giving section.
Hands of Romania.
Handsofromania.org. We are Outstretched Hands of Romania, but the website is Hands of Romania.
So we have made some contribution to our efforts here, but I'm going to go home and give another one to you and to Jalou. And from my heart to yours, just tremendous what you've done. 23 years of hard labor for the gospel takes faith and perseverance, and it's a thing to admire. I know that you're probably in it all so deep, but when you come in and you visit and you see what 23 years of faithful work can produce, it's admirable. So thank you.
Thank you, John.
Okay, God bless.
Appreciate it. God bless you.
So let us give thanks for all that God is doing, and let us press on together to do the great work that God has called us to do as part of his enormous great work of redemption around the world. Thank you.